Good morning to one and all. Welcome to the panel session 2.2, Accreditation and Cross Mobility of TVET Workforce. So now we have with us as a session chair, Mr. A.S. Mahmood, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Education from Bangladesh. And in this session we have 4 papers. We will have the presentation for 15 minutes, I think 1 hour. Then we will be having 15 to 20 minutes for the discussion. Okay, now Chairman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Jinke. I would like to welcome all of you and good morning. At the outset of the session, I would like to request Mr. Mukti Hashim. He will be the first presenter. I would like to inform all of you that what is written in the souvenir or brochure, Mr. Mukul Shustar is supposed to present this session, but he is not here. In absence of him, he is very quite aware of these issues. So he will speak or he will present the issues. Basically, he is a telecom engineer, and he has got a 14 years experience in city gates. Now he is working as director of South Asia City and Gates. So let us enjoy his presentation, and you please note down if you have any questions to raise after his presentation. So please, Mr. Mukti Hashim.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, the chairman, Mr. Mukul, and the other colleagues in the table list, and importantly the participant for the session. So this session is accreditation and cross mobility for TVET workforce. I think some of them we heard that this discussion in the earlier session as well, the first session, which is a very important area for Bangladesh. My first few slides I talk about who we are, about City and Guilds. And the current theme of City and Guilds, we go as into the job, on the job, and onto the next job. And how we do is, City and Guilds, we have nearly 800 different qualifications, and we offer across about 80 countries. And so those qualifications allow somebody to get into a job. And then we have acquired different companies. Kenyo is an online learning employees development organization. So with that, we help people who are working to improve when they are on the job, because whoever they are in the morning heard that some presenters were telling about how important with the skills, your soft skill areas, perhaps your attitude, leadership skills, your management skills, various things. So we are into that. Then to your next job in the same place or going to another company, your promotion. So that means again, we improve your skills. City and Guilds is in the course of improving their skills in the next job. So to talk a little about the history of City and Guilds, which was started in 1878, we are nearly 140 years old. The City of London and the Lever Guilds together, we started City and Guilds. And City and Guilds is a registered charity in UK, and though we run our business as a commercial entity, but there are no shareholders, so whatever we earn is plowed back to the system to develop more qualifications, more assessment mechanism, which is relevant to the workplace globally. So we have the the Royal President as Royal Highness as our President. We are not a huge company, but we are not a small company as well. 134 million revenue, 1,300 employees, and our iconic brands in the international reach because we are in many countries, even though our revenue is that. We have a joint venture in India with Manipal for the Manipal City and Guilds. So, market leading position in the technical and professional education, e-learning, leadership and management. So we are in many countries having our branches. So we have 10,000 training centers worldwide offering City and Guilds in about 80 countries. Because anybody to offer City and Guild, they need to become a approved training center. So we have, from 2000 if you take, we have offered 20 million certificates. So it's getting increased to about 2.5 million certificates a year now. Last year we have offered certified 2.5 million learners in various countries. Now this is a very important slide. If you see that what is the global trend towards education? If you look at the developed countries, Central and Eastern Europe, and the Central Asia, North America and the Western Europe, see how little they are into vocational education. Actually, even in the higher education sector, academic education, it is not much. Of course, the Arab countries around 7% into the vocational and about 8% into the academic areas. If you look at the down graph, that the majority of the trend towards the vocational education is in Asia, especially in the South and the West Asia. 41% is for vocational education trend towards people who want to get the qualification, get a job. And again, even in the academic area, fairly high in Asia, it's about 12%. So, this is the trend of people's movement from various regions. Of course, the majority of the South Asians are moving towards the Middle East, but still there is a huge amount of labor movement towards North America. But if you see the value of it, it is 492 billion remittances we are getting from the foreign employment globally. It's a huge amount. 492 billion is so, especially for developing countries, whereas places like Bangladesh, this is a very important factor. So we are doing a project in Saudi. You see that, which I earlier also raised, that different organizations, different funding organizations, different NGOs, the newest trend is we are getting consultants to develop the qualification frameworks and the new qualifications. What has really happened is many places is, fine, you develop a qualifications, you develop a framework, then you have to live with that monster. You are stuck with that. The biggest problem is your implementation of that, your quality assurance, your assessment. So the same problem Saudi faced a year ago. They got a qualification framework done, they got a qualifications developed, then they thought, my gosh, who's going to do this? Who's going to write the answers? Who's going to do the assessment? Who's going to do the quality control? Right. Now they have given that task to us. So we are engaged in a continuous project in Saudi that is a 400,000 students by 2023 to be assessed, because Saudi, because of the, especially the Arab Spring, they are very concerned about getting their youth skilled. And as supplement to that project, now Saudi is telling, we are getting people from various countries in the South Asia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Malaysia, especially Indonesia, Philippines, various places. Now they have a problem to recognize when these people come from various places, and especially, you know, especially in the South Asia, the fraudulent certificates. It is very common in this part of the world. So they have a big problem to recognize it. So Saudi, what's going to currently piloting is, and especially in Philippines and also in India, few selected areas, construction and hospitality, they are going to say that if you want to come and work in Saudi, you got to have this certificate from City and Guilds to come and work. Our next pilot is going to be Bangladesh. So they are going to stipulate that you need this one to come and work here. And there is a need for that. Because this morning we were talking about the qualification, and we get the consultants who say you got to develop your qualifications to meet your local industry need. Fine, there is a requirement there. But what is happening in this whole thing? Now, Mr. Khurshid from NDACC, he was telling that, he was in a good example. One thing is, now Saudi roads are cleaned by machines, whereas here we have abundance of labor, we are still manually laboring. So, if this person go there to clean the road, he can't operate the machine. And then, you develop a local qualification to cleaning the road with the local requirement, that is to use the broomstick. Well, what are we going to do then? How is this competence going to fit into the other region? So, it is the policymakers and the developers of qualification is predominantly important, I think, look at the global requirement when you are developing qualifications. Because otherwise, they will be stuck with you, and you will be continue to supply unskilled labor for pittance. If not, if you train them for the global requirement. So the Saudi is going to sort of do that. We expect that many Arab countries will come that too soon, because we were talking about in the morning that we are going to work with the Malaysian qualification framework, the various frameworks. So actually what Sejang is trying to do, be a catalyst to this. Okay, if the Sejang's qualifications are accepted in many frameworks, then it becomes easy for the transnational migration. So this is a story about one of our centers in oil and gas sector in India. The man in the middle, all of others are actually Sejang's board members who are sitting there. There is Emmanuel. He had gone to work in oil rig years back. Then he was all of a sudden heard the sirens. He didn't know what to do. He was stuck in the middle with the broomstick. If nobody, all of a sudden he found no one is there. All have disappeared, but only he is stuck there. Then somebody came and pulled from his collar and dragged him away. That was a till display for health and safety. So what this man did was, he found that this shouldn't happen to others. So he came back to India, and 2 years later, he started training center using Sejang's qualifications in oil and gas, and very especially health and safety procedure. So the other thing is now, as per our finding, there are nearly about 7 billion per year remittances, but you know, this is a very fragmented information, and we, because I know I have seen that where Bangladesh is getting about 18 billion from the foreign remittances, so this can't be true. So if you look at this chart, that the Saudi Arabia, they have, so Bangladesh is 24%. Bangladeshis are there working in Saudi Arabia. So there are quite a number of Bangladeshis working in Saudi, so as in Middle East, many countries. So that even though it is regulated by many agencies like the BMET here in Sri Lanka, we have the Bureau of Foreign Employment, I think still that the skills verification and the targeting these markets, I think that need more and more work to be done. So the signs of failure in the current markets, perception of low value of migrants receiving the market, because of this, and we continue to get very low salaries from the South Asian migrant workers. Poor quality of remittance because of that, and unrealized value, and still they have to work in the dangerous working environments. Why that is happening is because information we have is hugely varied. We find about 982% variation in information. Because now when I said 7 billion and somebody says no, it's not 7 billion, it could be 40 billion, it could be 50 billion. So this information about the recipients and the suppliers, the skills requirement, remittances, policies, there's a huge gap for these recipients. So still in whole South Asia, the migrant only 15% of them are skilled. And for Bangladesh it's only 4%. 4% is skilled from Bangladesh. Because one of the reasons that information is not correct is the hidden migration. But in 2012 we found that in Saudi they were trying to repatriate so many workers, about 5 million they found illegal workers. So this pressure is going to be there more and more. So Saudi, we are also doing currently in-country certifying some of the workers there as well. So there is no global labor market as such. So the functioning market and these case for the value of qualifications. So migration is matched to the economic needs of the receiving markets. Training is setting markets relevant to the global labor market regulation and the contracts of protect all parties. So it is very important that to understand the recipient's labor requirements, job requirements in the recipient markets, and then to ready with the suppliers to meet the demand. Also, to have a very clear-cut, credible qualification for them to migrate to another country. We are also changing that. What are the change in demands of the employers and how can we track them reliably? How can we develop common currency in qualified labor and at least in the exchange? How the current market works and how it doesn't. What policies have positive impact. How do we control identity testing and reliable scale? Now these are all questions that the policymakers have to answer. How are we going to do this? Now that's what I said. We are developing qualifications. Yes, there's a pressure from the industry to develop qualifications what your industry requires. But are we developing the right thing? Now Mr. Chowdhury said earlier, now only one polytechnic had the CNC machine. Right. Then the most of them, they must be having. Then the industry requires CNC machine. Right. There may be industry without CNC machine. So let's take the industry. Then you take from the industry input. Then you develop a qualifications, what is your industry required. So if they have only the lathe machines, no CNC machines, you will develop only for the lathe machines. Right. Then one thing is their requirement to the recipient market. Secondly, what happens when you get an advanced technology coming into here, the country? Because things are sort of so open now, because your technology is accessible very easily. Now, as the bullshit said, automobile technicians, some of the training centers I have seen even in Sri Lanka use to still the carburetor. The carburetor is archived. Then even injection is archived now because you have electric cars, you have hybrid cars. So if you are not ready for the technology, so what are we going to do with this trained people for the yesterday's technology? So it is not only for the recipient markets, it is not only for the recipient market, even for your own country. So you got to be training your people for the looking at maybe the technology requirement for the next 10 years. So if you are right, you need to be the industry input, no doubt about that, but there also should be input for the future requirement. Otherwise you are going to be stuck with the people who is just with the yesterday's technology. So anyway, that is my presentation. So maybe during the question and answer, if you have anything I can answer. Thank you very much.
Now the floor is open for all of you. Oh, we'll question and answer sessions after they present. Okay, that's good. We are going on with the session accreditation and cross mobility for TVET workers. First presenter was Mr. Amit Hashim, in absence of Mr. Mikhail Stuart Dow. And there is another correction. You see, in your brochure, the facilitator was Dr. Sheikh Abu Reja, Principal Graphic Arts Institute. But in absence of his Professor Dr. G.K. It's very good, what should I say, abbreviation. Dr. G. Kualantabhei, he is the faculty consultant of Colombo Planestaff College. So I would like to welcome him here. Now, we'll go for second presentation, and it will be presented by Ms. Noor Nazri. She is the Director, Department of Polytechnic, Malaysia, and her topic is accreditation and recognition of Polytechnic education program towards enhancing graduate employability and cross-mobility. If I talk about Noor Nazri, she has got a strong background and experience, 20 years experience in academic world, specifically in the technical and vocational education, with a strong knowledge in quality assurance and quality control process of higher education institution, with excellent interpersonal skills and the ability of communicate effectively, results-oriented and with continuous high energy. And she has got a good number of degrees. Now let us hear and see from her, Noor Nazri.
Mr. Chairperson, for those kind words. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very pleasant day to everyone. Distinguished panelists, or distinguished presenters, all participants of this seminar. My name is Nooridi binti Nazri. Easier for you to call me ID. ID is fine. Today, what I will share with all of you is accreditation and recognition of polytechnic education programs towards enhancing graduate employability and cross-mobility. Ladies and gentlemen, education is indeed a very, very challenging business. Everything that goes wrong with our youth is usually blamed on the education system. It happens in Malaysia. I don't know about your country. If graduates do not get employed in Malaysia, the first tendency is to look at the education system. Where did the education system go wrong that causes unemployment to be so high? So once again, education system is always in the limelight of everything that goes on in any country for that matter. And also, ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing at a very, very fast pace. Education system has got to keep in pace with those changes. Yeah? This accelerating pace of change due to the digital age. Yeah? Babies are born into digital age. A lady as old as I am, only towards our 40s do we start playing with all these gadgets. So it is a change for me to get used to all these digital gadgets. Also the global economic crisis and also the globalization, competition due to globalization. Hence, education system has got to change rapidly with all of these requirements. Let's have a quick look at some of the current issues that is being addressed by education system be it at the global level or national. When I mention national, I will refer to Malaysian scenario, and at the Ministry of Education in Malaysia, some of the issues that we face, and finally at the Polytechnic in Malaysia, which is under the purview of Ministry of Education Malaysia. So I will highlight some of the pertinent issues that we have to face. Let's start with the global level. Let's have a look at it. I know it's a bit wordy. I do not want to abstract. I want to take it directly from the report by the McKinsey Center for Government Review in the year 2012. Let's have a look at this. Worldwide, it says young people are 3 times more likely than their parents to be out of work. That's scary. I have 6 children, meaning out of 6 children, only 2 of my children will be employed. Then what happens to the other 4 of my children? This is a scary, scary information, ladies and gentlemen. And let's have a look at Greece, Spain, South Africa. More than half of young people are at unemployed and jobless levels of 25% or more in countries like Europe, Middle East, Northern Africa. And in the OECD countries, 1 in 8 of all 15 to 24-year-olds are not in employment, they are not in education, or they are not in training, and NEET. Not in education, not in employment, and not in training. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very scary. Paradoxically, on the other hand, if you look at the bottom part of the screen, you see that there is a critical skills shortage at the same time. You have all these unemployed young people. On the other hand, there are critical skills shortage at the same time. Across the 9 countries, only 43% of employers surveyed agreed that they could not find enough skill at entry level workers. Dichotomy exists. You have all these young people who cannot find a job, and you have all these jobs all over the world that cannot find the matching skill to do those jobs. I will now invite all of you to look at this scenario in Malaysia. This is our current scenario in Malaysia. The Economic Planning Unit under the Prime Minister's Department has just completed a very, very huge study on all TVET providers in Malaysia. What happened is that in Malaysia, there's too many TVET providers doing the same thing, replicating. Yeah? And you see, and you do not know whether the return upon investment is per the expenditure that was given out by the government. And if you have a look at the highlighted or the circle, the report says that if no changes made in the TVET scenario in Malaysia, by 2020, there will be an undersupply of about 300,000 TVET workers in Malaysia. If we don't change what we do now, this will happen in 2020. Also, if you look at your right, it says that gaps vary by sector and region and could be addressed by current access capacity. Now, let's have a look. If you look at this, yeah, by 2020, if we do not change how we do TVET in Malaysia, this will happen. We will have undersupply of about 600,000 TVET workers in the wholesale, in the storage and food and beverage, which is on your left on the screen. If we don't change. And if we don't change also, we will have oversupply of about 300,000 workers in the electrical and so on, which is on the right side. This is our current scenario in Malaysia. And also, there is a gap by region. As small as Malaysia is, Bangladesh, there's 160 million, right, ladies and gentlemen?
Near about.
Near about. Ours is 30 million, thereabout. And ours is smaller. Even in a small country like ours, if you look, there exist gaps in the Northern Peninsula, whereby there's a gap of 32,000 workers in sectors and so on, in the same sectors all across Malaysia. Imagine it, a small country with 13 million only population, gaps still exist. So we have to address this in our education system. Let's go down. We will start with global, national. Let's look at the Ministry of Education itself. Even at the Ministry of Education Malaysia, it's a lot of confusion. Pathways for students, academic, going to TVET, or TVET, going to academic, going to universities. If students are not familiar, they can get lost in all this articulating from one to another, and they might not choose the best career for them because they do not understand this articulation within the Ministry of Education. So these are our issues. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the statistics in Ministry of Education in Malaysia. If you have a look at the rounded one, currently we have 33 polytechnics in Malaysia, produced with an enrollment of about 100,000 students, and yearly we produce about 30,000 graduates yearly. Where do they go? Where do they go? And ladies and gentlemen, in the polytechnic system, this is our challenge. This is a comparison of employment status at diploma level between the public higher education institution, the one that is green in color on top, and the blue one is our polytechnics, and the lower one, the yellow ones, are the private higher education institutions. This is all diploma level. Yeah? So as you can very well see, what happened to our graduates in the year 2005, our graduates are 85.7% employed in 2005. Suddenly you look at 2006, there's a big drop in the employment of our graduates. From 85.7 to 70.2. What happened there? Where do they go? The existence of polytechnic in Malaysia is for the purpose of work. 70% of our graduate actually goes to work. When this happened, what happened to them? Where do they go? This is a question that we need to address. But over the years, as you see, from 2005 to until 2014, the numbers goes up and down. What we would like to see is the number or the percentage keeps going up, because we have a KPI of 85% by the year 2020, and we're still a long way from that. Yeah? So, ladies and gentlemen, if we're talking about cross-mobility of graduates, in fact, we are also addressing employability rate. Employability rate does not mean they work only in Malaysia. They can work in any country within Asia or out of Asia. So that's why we are very concerned with the low employability rate of our graduates. Hence, question. I do not have an answer. Maybe some of you have an answer. How then do we enhance graduate employability? How do we do that? Many answers to that. Yeah? Industry-led curriculum, perhaps. Yeah? All those, so many initiatives that we can do. Yeah? But have we done enough? Have we done enough? That's the question. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the suggestions that is made in the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2015-2025. This was just recently launched in early April by our Prime Minister. So hopefully this blueprint will guide us, be it the academic institution or be it TVET institution like us, to reach where we want to reach by the year 2025. And among the things that is highlighted is that we would like to go from is the one up above, yeah, the one in gray. We would love to move from job seekers to job creators. One of our speakers yesterday, I think was from Bangladesh, he mentioned it. We have to change from job seekers to job creators. In fact, one of our panelists from Bangladesh mentioned just now, many of your polytechnics open their own workshops. So they become job creators. We would like to do the same. Secondly, focus at the moment, or the past so many years, education in Malaysia has focused on university. We would love to move the focus from university education to academic and TVET education. So now, with this with the launching of this blueprint, TVET in Malaysia is propelled into the limelight of Malaysian education. And so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, you can have a look at where we are now and where we would like to be by the year 2025. Moving on from there, now, there is a special mention in the blueprint on producing quality TVET graduates, specially mentioned in the blueprint. And one of the initiatives mentioned in the blueprint is by achieving or acquiring international recognition from relevant bodies and institutions. So ladies and gentlemen, this is specifically highlighted in the blueprint, and us in the polytechnic system, we cannot ignore this. This is something that we need to do now so that by 2025, our employability rate is where it's supposed to be, and cross-mobility is a common factor among our graduates. So once again, acquiring of international recognition or accreditation becomes a very important agenda in the polytechnic system. Now, I have 2 more minutes. Can I have 4? Thank you. Right, so what do we do now? We have to acquire international accreditation. Our programs are at the diploma level, so we would love to be a signatory status to Dublin Accord. At the moment, we are not. Malaysia is a signatory status to Washington Accord, but not Dublin Accord. Secondly, we would love, or we have been accredited by Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission, which is under the purview of CPSC in Manila. The second part we have started, but the first one we are still at a very, very early stage. So, why APACC? Now I'm promoting CPSC. Why APACC? You can have a look at this. Why APACC? But clearly, bullet number 4, it says enhance graduate mobility. That's why our management decided to achieve accreditation APACC with the hope of enhancing graduate mobility, especially within the Asia Pacific and the Asia region. And these are the criteria. And ladies and gentlemen, we were very, very blessed last year, 2014, 3 out of 33 institutions in Polytechnic achieved the gold level accreditation under APACC and DG. We are the first country and the first 3 institutions in Asia Pacific actually achieving the gold level accreditation, and we are very, very, very proud of our achievement. Currently, thank you. And currently, we are waiting for the outcome of 4 more polytechnic that just underwent the accreditation visit in March of this year. So hopefully Dr. Naim, Dr. GK, we can get another 4 gold, inshallah. He gave me this. I don't know. All right. Maybe we can share with all of you.
From the accreditation
How? Okay. Are we done? These are the lessons that we learned during the whole process of getting the international accreditation. Leadership is very important. You need to build the capacity of your people. Teamwork is critical. Knowing strengths and weaknesses of your people is also important so that you can capitalize on their strength, and build on their weaknesses. This whole accreditation process is an opportunity for you to actually spring clean your institution. You have to spring clean your institution. Enculturation of quality. For many of us, if we are not careful, accreditation, recognition can just be for the purpose of accreditation and recognition. It should not be. It should be a culture. Quality should be a culture. We should not do it just for the purpose of getting the accreditation. And jugad. What's jugad? Lovely word, isn't it, jugad? We have to be jugad because our resources are very, very limited. We have to be innovative. We have to use whatever we have so that we will be propelled further. So once again, on signatory status of the Dublin Accord, we have started this. What we did is that we submitted 7 of our curriculum to see the Canadian Technology Accreditation Board for them to review and inform us and assist us to ensure that we are in line with Dublin Accord's requirement. And we were blessed that with their assistance, 7 of our programs, engineering programs, is said to be in line with the requirement of Dublin Accord. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm towards the end. Terima kasih means thank you very much. Dr. GK, ladies and gentlemen, accreditation recognition does not guarantee employability, does not guarantee mobility or cross-mobility, but it definitely assists in that. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam. A very good day.
Simply interesting. It was a very nice presentation. Thanks to Murad Jinazji. Now let us go for third presentation, and it is on proposal to formulate an international and or regional qualification matrix. I think it's a very, very mathematics-based presentation, I think, and it will be presented by Engineer S.B. Dadarapne, and he's from Sri Lanka. Basically, he has got good experience on electronics and telecommunication engineering. He's involved in city and hills engineering programs since 1983. Currently, he is an editor of Institutional Incorporated Engineer in Sri Lanka, then consultant on city and hills graduate programs in engineering at ACI campus, Lanka Private Limited. As he's also working as director, Long-Term Mineral Science Limited, a government-owned company. So you want to understand what a politician and researchful presenter he is. So let us enjoy his presentation on proposal to formulate an international and or regional qualification matrix. Engineer S.B. Dadarapne.
Session saya Mr. Mahmud, Facilitator Dr. GK, Press Capable, dear friends, and to be friends. It's a challenge to start with a challenge. If you have listened to my profile, the name City and Guilds had been mentioned 3 times, and the first presentation was also on the City and Guilds. So it's a challenge for me whether to compliment what Mr. Mufti proposed or how we go about it. Anyhow, I will like to take you back to about 25-30 years ago. An incident happened in my country, Sri Lanka. 2 girls who went to the engineering faculty of the best university in Sri Lanka after completing the 4-year electronics and telecommunication engineering degree program, joined one of the biggest computer companies in Sri Lanka. One day, when the managing director was visiting the workshop, the 2 girls were working on a computer. And the managing director has noticed that the brightness of the monitor was a bit high. We had the CRT monitors those days, the cathode-ray monitors. So the managing director has asked the 2 girls, 2 new engineers with a BSc engineering degree, to reduce the brightness. So what they have done was, they went to the place where they have the operation manual and going through the pages to see how the brightness can be reduced in a monitor. So the wrong person at the right place. And information is your library. What you gather from that is knowledge. And knowledge put into practice is wisdom. So if you cannot do that, there's no matter what we learn, we will be failures. So having said that, in this presentation, I will explain why we need the qualification matrix for the region or internationally, and how it can be done, and the probable outcome. With that, if you have heard about this saying, it's anyone can get angry. That's easy. But to get angry at the right time, for the right purpose, in the right way, and to the right extent, is not easy. Said by Aristotle. It is something to master. And so are the vocational qualifications as well. So I will take 3 examples from Sri Lanka. We are having many diploma and higher diploma courses, but I have selected 4 just to give you an example. And remember, even though the session shall mention that it's going to be based on mathematics, I am not going to use any mathematics or scientific words. I want to make it general. That's my point. And if I use some names, it's not to promote something, but to explain what exactly it is. So we have a diploma course called National Diploma, which is a theory and practical based program, 24 years full-time theory, 24 months, 12 months practicals, that's also full-time, a total of 36 hours. Then we have another program called National Diploma, another National Diploma, 18 months theory, 30 months practicals, a total of 48 months. Then we do have another diploma called High National Diploma with total of 48, out of the 48, 42 are theory and 6 months are practicals. And then we do have some other private qualifications also. I have just taken one example. It's an International Advanced Diploma, 24 months. The practical component depends on the qualification provider, a total of approximately 36 months. And all these are diplomas. And Institution of Incorporated Engineers Sri Lanka is for incorporated engineers. Our membership comes from people who have obtained these qualifications. Now my question number 1 is, can we compare the 4 courses together? It's very difficult. One will argue the first one is the best, because at a stretch they get the theory, then go to the industry, get the implant training for one consecutive year. The second group will say, we go to the industry from time to time during our theory sessions, so we are better than the first program. And the third group can say, our academic duration is 42 months, so we have a very high level of theoretical knowledge. So likewise, the different parties can put forward their ideas or their self-on evaluations. Now, as you know, in many countries there are different qualification frameworks. In Sri Lanka, we do have two. One is called the NVQ, National Vocational Qualification Framework, and then there is another one called SLQF, Sri Lanka Qualification Framework. And those two have been put forward by two different ministries. And sometimes, in some countries, there are more than 3 ministries to run education. So each minister in power at that particular time wants to put up his name, so he proposed something. Get the grants from a donor agency like ADB and push the proposal through, even without having the infrastructure and the resource persons necessary to carry out the program. So likewise, there will be AQF, BQF, etc. So many qualification frameworks. But I see some problems that might arise because of this, and also some problems that we are already having right now. One is, after completing your school education, after the grade level, the GC ordinary level or GC advanced level, those who cannot enter into a university will not be clear as to which route they have to take or which course they are supposed to follow. In some schools, after the exams, they conduct seminars to educate the students and parents as well on the career paths available, career guidance programs. But it's not happening in all the schools. Therefore, both parents and the students are not so clear about what to do after their results out. Then, among the students following different courses at different institutions, always they are fighting each other because they feel themselves they are the best. And after completing the career, they go to the industry. They think that the industry space is limited, so there is competition. And there is an uneasiness also among this. So that will create problems. Then for the employers is the biggest problem. They have the vacancies. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs, industrialists, manufacturers, service providers who are running business. But to run the business, they want professionally qualified, skilled, competent people. But if they cannot recruit the right people for their jobs, they are facing problems. And also the employers are facing problems in specifying different salary scales. And that will create the trade unions, trade union actions, and then that will impact on the progress of the development of the company and the country as well. And then there are social issues coming up because certain organizations give different designations for different qualifications. So based on that, you think of, oh, I am above the other person, but having the same qualification or a similar qualification. And it may end up by having economic issues. The thing is now, just by completing your basic education in vocational or engineering, it will not guarantee you a good job. So you have to have some value additions into that. And there are educational institutes eagerly waiting to give you, to offer you different qualifications, maybe MBAs, postgraduate diplomas, any other programs, because they want to make money out of that. So the students will go for them. Sometimes the parents are still maintaining them. Sometimes they have to go to the bank and get the loans to pay the tuition fees for these students to obtain these additional qualifications. So that makes problems with the financial situation, status of the family. Now, the proposal that I would like to make is a very simple one. implementation will not be easy and it will take time. But I want to make the eyes open of all concerned to think on that and start formulating some strategy. I am not going to use any statistics here because statistics is like a mini skirt because it exposes many things than it covers. So we have 3 lines here of our matrix: the certificate C, the diploma D, and the higher diploma H. And when you take 2 diplomas offered by 2 institutions, they will not be at the same level. So what I propose is to have different levels for each category. So certificate, let's say for example we have 5 categories, 5 levels. For the diploma we have 5 levels, and higher diploma we have 5 levels. So when you consider the nodes of this matrix, that one particular node will specify you a certain level. For example, we can call C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, or so this is D5, so this is H5. So if we can map a course into one of these nodes, then the students know, the industry know where that qualification stands. Now, if you have developed this one right now, the problem that we are facing is we already have courses formed and functioning by different organizations. So we cannot ask all of them to change all of a sudden. And when we are mapping those qualifications in this matrix, if a particular qualification is outside these nodes, for example, let's say we have 2 qualifications lying here, these 2, then we need to do something to get these 2 qualifications mapped into the closest node. For example, when you take towards the right, that is from certificate to higher diploma, so it is basically on the academic or the knowledge path. And on the vertical line, you can think of something like competency or the skills improvement or competency development. So if you can organize few competency development programs and workshops to move this particular qualification to the right and to the top, to be in line with D3, to coincide with D3, that new qualification or the existing qualification can be mapped to D3. So if there are 10 D3 qualifications, the industry will know, okay, this particular applicant has D3, so I don't have to ask any more questions because the standard remains the same. And for the other one also, we can move the position simply by including the academic part and the skills, the competency part. So it is up to the formulators of this matrix to think of how they go on to the right and how they go on to the top. So that can be done easily by analyzing the existing courses and the new nodes of the proposed matrix very carefully. Now, on the other hand, when you think about the industry, let's say a person who got a diploma qualification in mechanical engineering, when he goes to the industry, the government organizations will give you a different designation, different service scale. When you go to the private sector, depending on the capability of the company, they will offer you a better salary with a good designation. So that is why in most of these Asian countries, we do have strikes, trade union actions, most of the time, asking for salary increments, asking for promotions, asking for the acknowledgement of their qualification, etc. And when you count the amount of money and the amount of time that we waste because of these strikes and the other actions. It makes a huge impact on the economy. So in parallel to the qualification matrix, I would suggest to have another matrix for jobs as well. For example, say job category 1, job category 3, job category 4, 3. And there are different levels. So a technician can be of level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 or level 5. We can substitute the names depending on what we are going to do. Right? So if you can have this one established, any student passing out from any educational institution will know where they stand after completing the course or after graduating. They know where can they go and what is the designation that they are entitled to and how much initial salary that they will get. It's not easy, as we say, it's difficult. But difficult does not mean it's impossible. It can be done. There are a lot of work to do on this. But even if we have formulated these two, the problem will not solve. Because we do have the qualification matrix from one side and the job matrix from one side. But if we can put some effort to coincide these two, where we have the different qualifications matched to different job categories, that will be the ultimate solution. Definitely we cannot make it universal, but we can make it near universal by giving a try. And as you know, the secondary qualifications, they have IVQ qualifications. So these IVQ levels are recognized by most of the countries in the world. But if I say the NVQ in Sri Lanka or another qualification structure in Bangladesh or in Malaysia will be accepted by very few countries. So we can make use of this CGM structure as an example, and the Asian countries can get together and formulate a matrix like this so that most of the problems that we discussed during from the commencement of this session can be addressed easily. Because this different qualification problem had been discussed, there had been questions raised. Right? But you have to think out of the box in achieving this, because it's not easy. And sometimes we say, okay, why do we go as per the others' frameworks? We can develop our own. Yes, we can develop our own. That's true. But remember, if I am right, 2 million Bangladesh workers are employed overseas. And it brings in a lot of foreign exchange. That makes a huge impact on the economy. So it is in Sri Lanka, so in India. And if you can recall, some time back, 33% of the employees in the Microsoft company were from India, apart from the other Asian countries. You think about the multinational companies. So most of the high performers are from Asian countries. Secretaries is from UK. Most of the engineering work is handled by a Sri Lankan. So that's just one example. Right? So since we have the manpower, not only in numbers, but in quality and in the intelligence, if we can put more emphasis on developing these qualifications and getting it standard, rather than going behind some other structures available in the world, there will be a day where they will come and try to map into our regional qualifications. So we all are engineers here. And why we are here wasting our time? Because we need to improve our profession. We need to do something for TVET in general. So just try to think about outside your country, across the borders, and try to conquer the frontiers. And if we all get together, think our strategy is in the right way, definitely we can achieve this dream. And before I wind up, if it becomes a reality one day, don't forget to name it DQF, Dias Qualification Framework. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
thanks to Engineer S.P. Toyaratne for his nice presentation. Our fourth presenter is not here, so are you here? Hi.
That is why I gave lot.
Okay. Our fourth presenter, I think it is all mistake. Okay, please, come on.
I want to adjust for 1 o'clock. Okay, quick. Please.
Let us keep one thing in our mind that it is a Friday and it is a Zuma day. So we'd like to finish the program by at least 1 o'clock. But unfortunately, we can recognize one of our presenters. He is Mr. Ibrahim Babu Audu. He will present on events of discussion and method of teaching on practical skill acquisition in intellectual technical colleges. And if I talk about the cabinet did a short bibliography here, but Ibrahim Babu is Master of Science in Technical Education, Electrical and Electronics Engineering, MSCT, Department of Technical and Vocational Education, TV, Islamic University of Technology, IoT, Bangladesh. So I would like to request Mr. Ibrahim Babu to present his presentation, please.
So, members of our participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ibrahim Babu from a master's student from University of Islamic University of Technology, Bangladesh. That's IUT. I'm here just to present. Like I said before, I just proceed. I'd like to say that I'm here just to learn from you, so that I can be a potential in the future. I'll just come here to learn through the assistance of my HOD, Professor Chico, so that just give me some advice that I should just help my capacity that I can learn from you. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, the topic I just wanted to discuss here is the effect of discussion methods of teaching practical skills acquisition in technical colleges in Nigeria. Before I just go further, I just like to remind us that all the topics that they have been discussed is just concerning the unemployment problem, lack of skills problem, problems of graduates that is not get jobs and whatever. But we have to take back and look at it. That's why I just come here to remind that I have to come and tell us our own problem that we are facing in school and particularly in the classroom. That's why I made the topic, effect of discussion methods of teaching practical skills acquisition in technical colleges. From my introduction, we can say that the response to the worldwide educational reform initiatives today, teachers are expected to possess a wide spectrum of knowledge to enhance their professionalities, competency. Okay, what I just want to say here is that we are saying that now the world is dynamic. Yeah, we all know that, yeah, it is true that the world is dynamic, but how? The teachers that we have, are they responding to the dynamic world? How? They just used to, how they used to impart knowledge to us. Is it through the response of the dynamic, or I can say changes of the technologies? We have to ask ourselves so that we can give a solution to this. That is the problem we are facing in the classroom, is that how teacher facilitates the learning, or how to give the practical skills to the students so that they can be self-employment in future. We are having a problem of self-employment that a graduate will finish his school, but he cannot be employed. But if from the grassroots, he was given opportunity to practice or to get some skills, he can be a self-employed, even by himself. He can just create jobs. I even had it from the one director. He said that they have provided, he went to the Japanese, but he met the students of junior level. They are just working with the robotic. How these things happen, it is just because of the way they taught in class. Okay, discussion method is among the variety forms of open-ended collaboration, exchange of ideas among students and teachers, or among students for the purpose of enhancing student thinking, learning the problem solving, and understanding or literacy appreciation about the particular skills in technical and vocational education settings. We know that technical, or I can say, is skills. We cannot acquire skills in a vacuum. We have to have a place that the skills will be given to the students so that they can be a potential in future. And a place that will be given, it should be a technical school. And it is the skills that, it should be, the skills that will be given should be aligned with the present or recent changes so that it will respond to the needs of the technologies. Teaching method comprises, in teaching, like I said, in imparting knowledge to the student, it comprises of many methods. We have some discussion methods, lectures methods, classroom solving methods, and others. There are many. How teachers use these methods in order to facilitate learning to the, like I said, in order to give knowledge to the students so that they can acquire skills in future. Other teachers use the demonstration method in order to give a knowledge or skills and attitude to the learners through the use of that method. But others, they use it and in collaboration with some method so that teaching and learning will facilitate in accordance. Okay, others can define teaching methods referred as the general principles, pedagogies, and management strategies used for classroom instructions. On the other hand, discussion methods of teaching involve a group of people in a class which come together to exchange ideas, facts, or feeling, expression orally about the topic of mutual concern and interest under guide of who? The teacher. All these problems that we are facing, we are saying lack of unemployment, graduation, students will graduate without getting a job or whatever. We have to look at the teachers. Do they have that skills in order to train the students so that they can convey the message to them smoothly? Our present teachers now, they don't have the skills. That's why we are having a problem. All theory, all practical skills that TVET are saying TVET, when you go to the schools, workshops and whatever, you cannot see the real machines that's working in the industry. You cannot see it in our workshops. You cannot see it. That's why even the teachers do not have the skills that they can train the student to become a self-employment in the future. Or either if they just graduate from the school, then they can get job automatically to the industry. That is the main problem. Teachers training are not given, and it is not in accordance with the dynamic of the technologies changing. Okay. In terms of skills, we are just talking about the skills, how to get to this one. Muhammad and Yakub define skills as an acquisition, training as a form of training. Sorry, the expression is training as a form of training given to an individual in order to make him or her especially on the job expected on the job by using their knowledge effectively in executing various jobs. Therefore, skills acquisition can be seen as a systematic process of inviting new ideas and knowledge of executing accurate professional function. All these skills that we are saying, you cannot get it just like that. You must touch by somebody who is skillful, knowledgeable, so that he can impart knowledge, attitudes, and skill for you. Therefore, the use of discussion methods in class for facilitating the acquisition of knowledge and skills is very important, given by the teachers. But others are just using it somehow. They just we know that discussion method is a combination of a small group, but some teachers just used to make the group big so that the teaching and learning will not go in the right way. Furthermore, what I just want to convey is that all what we are getting problem in our school and classes is that the curriculum that was stated for us to give teachers guide was also have a problem. But policymakers are still, they have to consider it in order to make some arrangement for teachers, training, and other things. Now, discussion methods, however, as a team learning of a student discussion may not be only for this favorable student performance outcome, but also foster a great participant, self-confidence, and leadership ability towards learning and particular skills. That was a research by Bakums, Saris, Yoda, 2005. That's the result found by using discussion method that it used to enhance performance of the students. With this, I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to our Ghana, we have been able to see all the presentation and the presentation from both participants, both presented. Now the floor is open for question and answers. So as we are running short of time, as it was Friday, so let us ask a very good question to the presenter and let us maintain some sort of time limit. Okay, let us start. Then we'll think when we close. Please, the floor is open, please. You ask the question, mention the presenter to whom you would like to ask the questions, please. Yeah, please. Yes, should I have my microphone? Microphone do not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to ask some questions. Because we are talking about accreditation and cross mobility, meaning across countries. So we are clear about two types of accreditation. One is institutional accreditation, such as what APAC, Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission under CPSC is doing. The other one is program accreditation. Both are important. Now, in the presentation by all the presenters, in order to be able to do that, there must be a common unit of exchange. Like mining, we have a currency. But in learning, what is the common unit of exchange? The currency of learning. We've heard about attempts to do a change in the way certificate, diploma are classified according to the levels, but the world is going towards a qualification framework whereby we have basically eight levels, and these levels are determined by the number of credits basically. And what is one credit? This is the currency of learning. Now the outcome-based education is going for student learning time. Talking about course learning objective, program learning objective. These will define those learning in better ways rather than subjectively. But I've not been hearing so much about this. So my general question to anybody, if there are any initiative in their countries, in their department, please inform us. To what extent has this been progressed? Thank you.
Okay.
The parallel to what they have presented, actually the UK's qualification framework is currently like that. That means you have the depth and the breadth. See that if you take one program, it will have, they call it a road certificate diploma, and it will go this way, 8 levels, level 8 is the PhD. So then, for instance, if you say the award is 10 credits, then the certificate would be maybe 20 credits, so diploma can be 30 credits. So each credit, it has the GLS, that's the guided learning hours, as well as notional hours. So there are, I think, units you can calculate that what is the value of the programs. So it is left to the program. So how they have done is, they will have each program, say certificate in welding, they will have a couple of mandatory units. So you got to do the mandatory units, you take the award, certificate or diploma. So that your claiming of certificate or diploma will depend on you are taking additional modules. So I think it's a very pragmatic model UK has come out, and that is in place for the last about 7-8 years in UK, which even the city angles programs are now into that framework. So it's very clearly says that then if you want level 3, say if you want level 3 certificate, it's okay, this is the credit amounts that you have, that covers, yeah.
May I add, sir? It's the same scenario for Malaysian education system, whereby the Malaysian qualification agency has a very structured Malaysian qualification framework based on, again, 8 levels as per Dr. Naim's earlier assessment. For example, we have to prescribe to the standards and criteria as stipulated by MQA. For example, 1 credit is equal to 40 notional hours, and as per what Mr. Mufti mentioned earlier. So for example, the diploma level, you have to have a minimum of 90 credits and so on. So perhaps this is the currency that was mentioned by Dr. Muhammad Naim earlier. Thank you.
Any more question? No question? Okay. Let's go for the certificate giving ceremony to the presenters.
So, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Chairman, Mr. A.S. Mohammed, Additional Secretary, Minister of Education. So now I request Dr. Mohammed Naim Yaqub, Director General, Colombo Plan Staff College, Manila, Philippines, to hand over the certificate and memento to our session chair, Mr. A.S. Mohammed, Additional Secretary, Minister of Education. So, this one is Mr. Mufti Hazim, Regional Director, Hazim. And Madam Noor ID.
be that Mr. Ibrahim or
Please, eye contact.
just one for you. Nice. Okay, thank you. So,
Thank you very much to Dr. Naim sir, Director General CPSC for handing your certificates along with Mr. J.S. Mohammed sir. Yes, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected presenters, facilitator, delegates from different countries of TVET family, participants from Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I would like to thank all the learned potential presenters for their nice, informative presentation. They have tried their level best to draw the attention of the participants and to make them understand what is going on in different field of treatment. I hope and believe that all the participants will be benefited with their presentation. Let us give them a big claps. Can you follow me? Let us give them big claps. Mr. Jikke, he facilitated the program very smoothly and very nicely. Let us give him a very big claps also. And let us thank IDP for organizing such type of international conference for the first time, and it proves their capacity and capability to organize this type of program. So let us thank them. Dear participants from Bangladesh, what we understand from the presentation from the different presenter and what is my realization, the accreditation and cross-mobility for TVET workforce, truly, and we all know, survival is the fittest. If you can develop yourself as a potential or as a successful, there will be demanding personality. Demand will come automatically. Then you need not accreditation or what should I say, cross mobility. If we can establish ourselves as a potential or a resourceful one, you see, who are in the dais, they have been able to establish them as potential and as resourceful in the field of technical education. That's why they are here. Bangladesh invited them to present, to share their knowledge in this field. We are the people of developing country. I would like to say about the Bangladeshi people. What I feel and understand, if you would like to survive in the world as a developed nation, no alternative, but we have to give emphasis on technical education. We have to produce skilled human resources, skilled manpower. And it is possible by you, because you all are working in the field of technical education. Let us come forward, wherever we are working, wherever we are teaching. Let us establish a platform to establish Bangladeshi people with the technical education, because it is the realization of the government also. If you would like to develop our country, we have to produce skilled manpower. We are talking about TESDA, we talk about TAFE, we talk about Nigerian Polytechnic Institute, we talk about signal gates. Let us have some institute in our country so that foreign delegates or people from outside, they can also announce our name. It may be BTTV, it may be BMT, if maybe research training college, whatever you think. Let us establish this type of organization, and when it will be possible, when what we have learned from here, if you can accommodate this knowledge and if you can invest this knowledge to develop this type of nation. And I think it is possible because we are going ahead. Each and every one will believe that we are going ahead, and by 2021, the government has a good vision, and 2041, and inshallah by the grace of Almighty Allah, we will be able to held that position what is desired by the government. And one of the most critical component may be technical education. I am talking especially to the friends of Bangladesh and the people of developed country. You please extend your cooperation and help to our country, to the people of Bangladesh, so that we can come forward. Let us work together as a member of the TVET family. With this word, I would like to conclude the session here. Thank you very, very much indeed. Islam.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman and all the representatives. So one announcement, the local guest, lunch and prayer will be in the basement 1. And for the foreign and VIP guests, it will be in the ground floor, floor 8. Not actually it's mentioned as level G. It will be in the 8th. That should be the floor for foreigners and VIPs.
Excuse me, এখানে একটা ঘোষণা আছে আমাদের